Hey everybody, this is Stephanie from Coaching Horizons International Radio. Today I'm interviewing Heshy Rosenwasser from the Jersey area. So Heshy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your story?
Well, it's a very long and involved kind of story, but I guess I do a lot of things, but for these purposes, I'm a musician, singer-songwriter, and keyboard player. I live at the moment in Englewood, New Jersey, and although I hail from the beaches of Long Island and also later on at the Jersey Shore, and I mention that because that really informs a lot of my writing and a lot of my music as well. So, I once had I'm going off on a tangent a bit, but I once had a music professor who once said that the best music is about who you are, where you're from, and how you feel about those two things. And I tend to listen to musicians that have a very similar type of, ethos as well.
What musicians have influenced you?
Usually, I would say the rock and roll singer-songwriter types. The granddaddy of them all would be Springsteen, but he's hardly the only one. I mean, Billy Joel is there, Tom Waits, Lou Reed, also a whole lot of, in terms of songwriting. To a lesser degree, there's Bob Dylan. I mean, all the names that I mentioned above also kind of spring from Bob Dylan as well, who in turn sprang from Woody Guthrie. I mean, it's we all take our influences and we put our own spin on them. So those
thank you.
Those and what, as well.
In what genres of music do you write usually?
I would say that the overarching genre would be rock. However, there's a lot of blues in there. There's a lot of rhythm and blues, classic soul. And I also mentioned to you earlier that I played in a reggae band for a number of years. And it's actually a lot more complicated and sophisticated than the average listener would think it is. And I played with these guys for about 2 years, and it was a very educational and eye-opening experience. And some of that influence has made its way into my writing as well.
Thank you. And do you write any variety of topics, or just one area of topic?
No, I write. I'd like to think that I can write about anything. I tend to write from a first person point of view, although some songs tend to be kind of, every now and then I like to write story songs in third person as well. Relationships, like the overwhelming majority of songs, I would say. But also, I mean, I wouldn't call myself a political songwriter, but every now and then I'll write about certain issues that concern me, my take on them, etc. And
Cool, thank you. And what challenges have you faced as a songwriter?
One of the largest challenges was simply getting my stuff out there. There's a humongous playing field, and the internet has been at the same time a blessing and a curse, because it's a blessing because anybody can, the tools have been democratized and anybody can use them now, to create music and to post them on social media and other places like YouTube and Spotify and things like that. But the pitfall to that is, go try, interesting people in that, I hate the expression driving traffic, I mean, I used to be a limousine driver. I used to, if I want to drive traffic, I'll drive a limo, but that's the technical term here. It's like, well, how do you get that traffic to drive over to your corner, and that I would have to say is really large. And because when you're a do-it-yourself kind of artist, you don't have the big budgets for publicity. You rely on word of mouth, and your own efforts in putting stuff out there on social media only goes so far. Getting a viral post is like hitting a winning lottery ticket. So that's I would say that's the largest challenge that I face.
Thank you. And what is your creative process like?
My creative process is I consider myself really a writer first and foremost, and I would start the lyrics in most cases, not in all cases, but in many of them. I carry notebooks with me. I have one large notebook in which I just have like a whole library of what I call throwaway lines that I've amassed over like decades. Really, I started writing my songs when I was a teenager, and I would say, and every time I would hear something that kind of rang true to me or something like that, then I would copy it down. Or if an idea came to me, not necessarily if I heard it out of somebody else, but I'd say that could go in a song too. So I've collected all of these, and I've added a lot of them. I always refer back to it, like when I'm writing a song and I'm stuck for some a rhyme, or if I'm stuck for an idea or whatever. That's always a good resource for me to go to. Yeah.
Thank you. And what is something that you wish you had known when you were first starting out?
How tough it would really be. It's like it's like music is a gift. I mean, look, any to be able to do it, I don't say that it's puts me in any kind of special club or category or anything like that. But I'm just saying, I've always been musical, but I've been notoriously poor in trying to sell myself. It's I like to play, I love to perform, I love to record. The entire creative process, from writing all the way to recording and working on. I mean, I don't actually do the mixing and mastering, but I sit in on the sessions and having the input and hearing it back. And the entire process from beginning to end is really something that I love. And the publicity part of it is like hair pull, knock down hair pull. So that's if I would have known it would have been like that. Well, I'm not going to say I would have thought twice about it, because I wouldn't have thought twice about it. It's John Lee Hooker very famously said, you got to let that boy boogie woogie, because it's in him and it got to come out. It's a calling. You're called to do this. You have no choice. And I just wish I would have known, that I'd be fighting forces in order to be able to do this.
Thank you. And what has been your biggest accomplishment so far?
My biggest accomplishment would have to be the albums that I put out.
Congratulations.
I put out about 5 of them. And I have like a whole, what I call my musical magnum opus that's generally titled Soul in Exile. And there's like a whole series of, it's really for lack of a better term, series of... I hesitate to say concept album, because that conjures up all kinds of images from the overblown 1970s, Emerson, Lake and Palmer and all that stuff. And it's not quite like that, but the albums do have a theme. The songs taken together do tell a story, and the series of albums also tell their own story as well. And again, like I said, I'm primarily a writer. I also happen to make a living as an editor as well, not a music, just outside of music. And that, believe it or not, that actually does play into the whole musical creative process also in creating this whole series of albums. And, each, somebody once asked me, are you ever going to write your great American novel? And I'm thinking, these albums are my great American novel. Each album is like it's more than just a chapter. Each song is a chapter. Each album is like a whole section, and each, and it's not finished yet. There are 4 of them out at the moment, and there are 2 more to go. And at that point, I can say I can call it complete. That said, I have many more songs that fall outside of that as well, and those also deserve attention.
Is this your first album, or?
No, my first album I put out in late 1999, and I put them out. I mean, I do it all myself. I finance it myself. I mean, I don't have any record company.
Wow.
Yeah. So as a result, it takes a long time because you don't always have the money. You go into the studio whenever you can. you got to pay your musicians, unless they're willing to help you out. I mean, I was very fortunate that, especially when I made my second Solo in Exile album, I was able to call in a lot of favors, and I have like 25 musicians on that album, all people that I jammed with and played in bands with and things like that. And they were like, yeah, sure, I'll play. Others, I made sure they got paid as well. But again, it comes out of my pocket. It's not, there's no label involved at all. So as a result, it takes a while. If my first one came out in 1999, the second one came out in 2007. I mean, I started recording it before that. I actually had a whole series of recording sessions in Red Bank, New Jersey in 2002. And then I moved to Los Angeles in 2003. And the fellow that did my mixing and mastering was in Santa Monica, and he did a really bang up job. And I'm actually still in touch with him today. And then after that, I put out like a sort of greatest non-hits album in 2015. That was like a series of assorted recordings I did. Did we fall off here? I think you fell off because I only see myself. Okay. Hello? I lost you there.
Sorry, my internet went down.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So where was I up to with I was talking.
What?
Yeah, go ahead.
So what is coming up for you in the near future?
I'm focusing right now on getting out there and playing again. I've been on a performance hiatus for about 3 years. I mean, COVID was part of that, obviously, but after that, my father passed away, and I was pretty much out of the loop for a year afterwards. And then after that, once I started, during that time, actually, I did a lot of. I mean, one of the things that happened, after my father passed away, it actually kind of triggered my own sense of mortality, and I realized that, I have notebooks full of unfinished material, and this is the time to finish it, And I went back to some stuff some of the songs go back to the 1980s even. And other things that were just started off as ideas, and I fleshed them out. And I spent the last year and a half. I would say that I started in June of 2022, and I just finished the last of them in November of 2023. And now is the time to really start performing them live and also recording them as well. So those I have the twin goals now are to start getting back into the studio and getting back on stage, ideally with a band. But at first, I'm just going to go out myself. Then perhaps I'll add, perhaps as a duo. And the whole idea is to have each new gig kind of build on the successes of the previous one. So hopefully work into a band situation. And of course, it's a difficult scene to navigate now. For one thing, I'm older now than I am when I first started. I'm not the 20-year-old guy who can like lug equipment around, and I have very little patience for pettiness and idiocy, and unfortunately, there's a lot of that in the scene. It's like I want to get things done with a minimum of drama, and so. But we'll see where it goes. I'm taking it one step at a time, and my golden rule is that if it stops being fun, then I stop doing it. Then I take a step out of it. Yeah. It's like I got to do this because I want to do it and because I enjoy doing it. And hopefully, other people who are, in the audience enjoy it as well. I mean, as soon as it stops being fun, then it's time to look for something else. That's pretty much the way it goes.
I agree. So what's coming up for you in the near future?
So the immediate future is, it has yet to be confirmed, but there is tentatively a show booked for March 13th. And this is at a place called Cafe Artiste, which is located in the Jersey Shore Arts Center in Neptune, New Jersey, right near Asbury Park. It's a really neat little venue. It's a listening room. It's not a bar. You know, that's another thing. I'm pretty much finished playing with bars. You know, I don't want to play for drunks anymore. You know, I don't want to. Listening rooms are much more my environment because people are there for the music. You know, and they actually quiet down and listen to what you have to sing, and that's good. So that's the next thing that's happening. Hopefully, after that, I'll be able to get some good video from that. And there's a singer-songwriter series that has been going on for the last couple of years in Atlantic City. I'm aiming for that one as well. So that's the next few months right there.
Do you think you'll write another album?
I certainly hope so. Like I mentioned, the whole Soul in Exile series has really two more books to go. You know, two more albums until the story is done, and then I have also a whole series of piano powered, power pop tunes, I guess you could say. Some really snappy, 3 to 4 minute songs. I mean, I tend to get very long-winded sometimes. I mean, I love the music of Kansas, for example. I love artists. You know, long songs do not scare me off. I love them because I guess before I started listening to rock and roll, I used to listen to classical music, and so it only made sense that once I started listening to rock, that those people that like to put out these longer songs that have like very interesting changes to them, so that was like a natural progression for me. But here, at the same time, I also wrote a whole series of these little pop rock gems that are 3 and 4 minutes. I mean, they're not like the Ramones, 2 minutes and it's gone, but it's still, it's in that golden zone, that gets played on the radio, 3.5 to 4 minutes, piano, bass, but also I'd like to record them like with a 4-piece band, piano, guitar, bass, and drums, and have it be straightforward and fun and upbeat like that.
And what do you think helped you become successful as a songwriter?
Well, it depends how you measure success, really. I mean, in terms of fulfillment, I mean, it's really fulfilling to finish a project and to see it come to fruition. That's a very satisfying moment. I won't knock this. Validation is important also, having people hear it and like what you do. It's I don't just want to play to the four walls. I want human ears to listen to it as well. And so that's further down the road. I mean, like anybody wants, fame, success, whatever. I'm not gonna sell myself for it, but I would certainly welcome it if it came. But short of that, at least some recognition beyond my own four walls would actually be quite satisfying. I would consider that a measure of success as well.
Okay. And what advice do you have for emerging songwriters?
Advice is to keep at it. Write the songs that you hear in your own mind's ear and what's in your heart. The old cliche is write what you know, and it absolutely applies here as well. But I would also like to add the second half to that is that don't let you're going to encounter a lot of well-meaning people in your life. People in your family, people in your school, people whatever. If you're a religious person, maybe somebody from your congregation, your church, your synagogue, whatever. And they're only looking out for how they feel. They don't want to see you get hurt. So they say, well, music is great and all, but, why don't you do something, this, that, and the other to fall back on? So you'll have something to fall back on. And my advice is be kind, smile, say I love you, and tune that advice out. Does anybody say tell a medical student, that's great, but you should also go to carpentry school so you'll have something to fall back on? I mean, please, people, society and families, etc., should be a little more encouraging of their artistic members, in my opinion.
We need to be more loving towards each other. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Okay, I'm gonna veer into some minor controversy right now. I'm not going to mention any specific issues, but I'm going to say that I think it's probably wise and prudent for musicians not to avoid politics completely. I mean, because like I said before, if there are issues that matter to you, you should absolutely, if you're a songwriter, writing topical songs about these things that matter to you is important. You should absolutely do that. Have your art form be what reaches out and gets people thinking, but don't preach. Don't get up on stage and say, vote for this person, vote for that person. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter who. It doesn't. I'm not saying I'm for this candidate or I'm against that candidate. That's really beside the point. But it's like, don't start stumping for particular candidates, because in my opinion, that's no better than trying to use your songs to sell Coca-Cola or like the latest Chrysler. It's really no different for me. Encouraging somebody to vote, well, sure, absolutely, but it's like, vote your conscience. What you believe in. Become involved. But as soon as a musician or an artist, whatever, starts preaching about specific issues and hitching themselves too closely to candidates, then they're going to lose half of their audience. And I don't know, maybe some people don't really care. It's like it's too big. They're too big to fail or whatever. But it's not necessarily the case. It's like somebody who does that, like I said, they risk losing half their audience, and then you end up saying, I used to like such and such an artist, but then they started going on and on about this, that, and the other thing, and it's like, no, I can't listen to them anymore, and that's a shame, because you think of the music that you loved, and it's like, why make it disgusting to people? Why don't you don't touch the music, don't say, well, I really wrote, I wrote this big hit song, but what it really is about such a candidate. So vote for that candidate, because my advice is don't do that. Don't do that. That's all.
Thank you, Heshy, so much for being here.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure being on. Yeah.
You're welcome. And as for everyone, the interview will be on the radio station tonight, approximately 7:45. We'll also be on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on my email newsletter. Hope everybody has a great rest of the day, and we will speak to you all soon. Take care.
Okay. Very well. Have a good night.